If we go to the beginning of the incident, my father-in-law's family is a family that can be considered rich in that region. The father-in-law is a relatively educated civil servant living in the city. He was in the village for summer vacation when the incident took place. In the summer months, they take their animals to the plateau and a few shepherds stand by them. As you know, shepherds live in tents for 3 minus for months. Those who know that since Armenians used to live in the eastern and southeastern regions, there are many villages remaining from them. Many lands and structures were inherited from the Armenians. It is a plateau close to such ruins in this region. Ancient ruins can still be seen. One night, the shepherd wakes up with dogs barking, thinking it might be a wolf. He goes to where the dogs are, but he doesn't see anything nearby. The place where the dog is found is a ruined place. He calls the dogs and returns. The next night, same sounds and same place, nothing again. The shepherds got angry and went to look at the same place during the day, and where they looked, there was a hole among the ruins. The hole is about 1/2 meter in diameter. It's probably a mouse or fox-like pestle, and they think that's why dogs bark, so they don't shake it too much. The next night, when the same conversation happens again, the shepherd gets up and goes again, and this time he sees fire coming out of the hole. He gets excited and wakes up the other 2 shepherds, and they see a blue flame. Since there are many underground hot springs etc. in that region, see the Arden, they think that natural gas or a similar gas is burning. In fact, they are happy because it makes money or something. When morning comes and they go back to the pit, they see that the fire is out, and they each take a pickaxe and start digging the hole. After digging a little, they land in a place like a big room. This time they get confused and think that there may be treasure etc. here, and they drill holes in the walls left and right. While digging, they eventually find a small chest. They open the inside, and out of the chest comes a piece of hair wrapped in a rag, outer skin, bones, and a piece of skin with an inscription that they later learned was Armenian letters. But as soon as they open it, a disgusting smell spreads around. They take the chest with them and return to the tent. As soon as they approach the animals, all the sheep run away. There is literally chaos around. The dogs are barking. The sheep are trying to escape from the pen like crazy. The shepherd is on top of them. Of course, the shepherds do not understand at first that this incident is related to the ballot box. Then they say it won't happen like this and send someone to the village with the ballot box. They will show it to someone who knows what this is. The only one who knows is our father-in-law, because he is educated. The father-in-law looks at the letters. They are Armenian letters. But when he sees the bone mimic, he says don't bother, throw this crap away. Of course, the shepherds do not care and hide the chest and ask others about it. But there is no way to control the animals when the crate is next to them. One of them wakes up and says there might be magic in this. This time, he takes the chest and takes it to a teacher who deals with these things. He goes to the teacher's house, sees this from the garden and says, "Leave the chest in your hand and go in." The shepherd comes in. The teacher says, "Where did you find the chest?" The shepherd explains. The teacher asks what's inside, and the shepherd tells it. The teacher says, "There is a burial place where this chest is, an Armenian burial, but they have attached such a demon to the press that it has the power to haunt your entire family. In fact, one of his tribe is waiting for the chest at the gate of the garden. When you open this chest, you release this demon. Take the chest back to its place before you get into trouble. Close it. Read these prayers, and don't worry about the peaceful burial. They won't leave your 7 dynasties alone," he says. Of course, the shepherd is very afraid, but the burial that the teacher mentioned fascinates him, so he takes the chest and leaves. He comes to the other shepherds and tells them what happened. Of course, they are scared, but you can't leave the burial just like that. They take a Quran with them, take their ablutions, and decide to dig. They will dig at night so as not to be noticed by anyone, as there are occasional visitors to the plateau. They dig for a few hours that night, and when nothing comes up, they return to the tent and go to bed. But sleep is impossible. The animals do not remain silent for a second. They take the last chest and leave it at the excavation site. The sounds stop. They wake up in the morning and the view they see is terrible. More than 100 sheep are lying dead in the pen. The dogs are missing. There is no blood. There is no fight or fight. There are no marks on the animals, but they are all stiff, as if they were inflated. They panic and go to the village. Of course, the one who received the news came. Everyone, including the gendarmerie, is aware of the incident, but no one knows about magic except the shepherds and the teacher. They cannot explain the burial process out of fear. The father-in-laws do not let go of the incident. They pressure the shepherds, and finally they explain the issue. Of course, our people go crazy. They go to the teacher together. The teacher said, I warned them, but obviously they didn't listen. There are 3 demons after these 3. They are waiting at the door. I have never seen or heard of them. They are so strong, so scary. He tells the father-in-laws, consider this sheep issue as a sacrifice. Do not get involved in this. If you do, your sheep will not come back, and you will get into bigger trouble. He says to the shepherds, I can't deal with these. Go. There is someone in Erzurum. Ask him for help. If he accepts, no matter what. If he doesn't, give him whatever he wants. Otherwise you are screwed. They go out. The father-in-law's brothers hit these shepherds with a good stick and drive them away. Then they go home and make sacrifices for another 10 villages, say prayers, etc., and want to close the issue. Of course, what are our dear shepherds doing? They say, since we are involved in shit, let's at least bring down the gold. One of them refuses and says he will go to Erzurum and get rid of this. He sets up the next day, and there is no news from the shepherd again. Going. The personnel, neither dead nor alive, are literally disappearing. Of course, the other 2 don't know about this. They go to dig at night. While digging, they find a chest. They are so happy. They open it to find gold coins. The inside of the chest is full of women's hair. Of course, they don't understand the situation. They dig until the morning. They are going to go and sleep in a nook in the morning. The shepherd's phone rings. His wife fell into the tanjua and was burned to death. They say they are taking him to the hospital. They get on horses and reach the village. From there they drive to the hospital. But the woman is dead. They both know the situation, but there is nothing to do. They leave saying they won't tell anyone about it and let the matter go. The other shepherd goes and makes the sacrifice immediately, out of fear. He goes to the teacher again, explains the situation. He says let's get help from the teacher in Erzurum. The teacher gives the address and sends it to Erzurum. The man in Erzurum is deeply involved in these matters. Has officially made a name for itself in the region. I couldn't learn his name, but many people say there is such a person in Erzurum. Reaches the shepherd man. The man directly said, come, I was waiting for you too. Before the shepherd explained the situation, the man started to explain. The man said, I have been waiting for years to see who would release this demon. The lottery has hit you. It has. But you cannot prevent this with a sacrifice or anything. You cannot solve this problem with money. First, you will find your lost friend. But he is tied to somewhere now. Not even a step from there. He can't go away. He entered their service. They took him on the way to me. If all 3 of you come together, we will burn this demon here. Not if one of you is missing. Tells the shepherd's location. The place, he said, is the ruin where they found the chest. He tells this situation to the other shepherd. They meet and go to the place. The shepherd is in the place where they dug, but in a miserable state. His clothes are covered in shit. His hands and face are covered in wounds. Nails are shattered. When he sees these, he shouts to go. They read what the teacher says and approach him. They say, we will take you. We will save you. And he says, they won't leave me. The one inside won't leave me, he says. They look inside and there is no one there. But the walls inside are pitch black. The employee is skin and bones. Who wouldn't let go? They say, he's sitting there. There are others outside too. The shepherd says, they are trying to hold his arm and force him out. But it is impossible. They pull him. And when he comes to the exit, the guy stays in the air as if he was tied to a rope. They are looking for the man in Erzurum. He says, blindfold yourself and touch the water I gave you. When they do this, the employee runs away as if he was burned, but they pull him out. When he leaves, he wakes up a little, says let's run away, and says they are all angry they are running away. But the employee cannot escape. According to the shepherd, he said it took of maybe 2 or 3 meters from the ground and crashed to the ground how many times. They hit the ground screaming and pulled us back into the hole before we could do anything. He said, they run away after this image. They immediately call the man in Erzurum. The man says, he became your friend. You 2 are left alone. Come to me immediately. They get in the car and go straight to Erzurum. They come to the man's house. There are others waiting outside. It's their turn. They come in. The man speaks. Your friend is dead, but the demon inside him is also dead. Even if you go and look for him, you cannot find his body. This made them very angry. Now we need to take out what is inside you without harming you. he says to someone. Of course, the shepherds are shocked. He said to the shepherd whose wife died, "First they haunted your wife, then they burned your wife. But with the inspiration, the haunting burnt down as well. But the one inside your friend remains. Can you see the one sitting next to me?" The deceased's wife said no. He turned to the other and said, "I see," meaning he could see the other being in the room that was haunting him. "Now," said the man, "the demon inside you hears and understands us, but here it cannot harm you or anyone else. It does not allow us to harm you, because it has sealed itself to you. It goes with you wherever you go. It haunts your sleep, your food, your drink, your home and shelter. It will not leave you until it takes control of you. That's why we will tie a Huddam to you." Now, let's talk about this Huddam issue a bit. Huddam is one of the powerful but well-intentioned of these beings. Think like a kind of leader. It is very difficult to control these Huddams. They only help if they want to help, and there must be competent people involved to get help from the Huddam. The man gives certain prayers to the shepherd. He says that you will bury the 7 amulets he gave you in 7 different places. He said there were a few more things, but I couldn't get him to explain. I think he was afraid it would break after this information. They leave Erzurum while returning at night. The haunted shepherd says let's stop somewhere to pee. They get offered a facility. The shepherd goes to the toilet and the other one smokes. When he doesn't come after a while, he gets hairy. He goes to the bathroom and sees no one there. The back of the facility is land. When he comes out of the toilet, he looks at it, and the man goes out into the field and looks at it. He's calling to come. As soon as I heard his voice, I knew it wasn't him, says the shepherd. He goes to the pump shop and says, "My friend is sick. Let's bring him together and put him in the car out of fear." He comes back with the pumper and sees the man running away towards the land. The pump gets hairy and doesn't go away. He has to pursue this. When he goes a little further in the dark, he looks at this squatting place. When he approaches him, the fleeing shepherd makes a sound. He says it's as if they cut his throat and he's bleeding, as if he's suffocating. He looks at your face. It's black as if it's been burned. You know he's growling. It says Adhan with the sound it makes. The shepherd does not understand what he means by the call to prayer. He calls the call to prayer, but the other one insists on calling the call to prayer. The shepherd is looking for Erzurum again. The man says, "Don't leave him alone until the morning Adhan. If necessary, tie him up somewhere. Otherwise, they will take him away." The reason why they wait until the Adhan is that these beings can be active between the Isha prayer and the morning Adhan. After the morning prayer, its effects decrease and the person regains consciousness. The shepherd takes him by the arm and carries him to the gas station praying. He washes his face, gives him water to drink, then decides to take him into the mosque. I wait for the account so that it will be protected, but there is no way to let the shepherd into the mosque. Finally, he takes her to the car, locks the doors and waits by her side. At that moment, the people at the gas station got angry and kicked them out of the gas station. The desperate one steps on the gas, while the other one is asleep behind him. While he is on the road, he suddenly opens the door and jumps down. He falls headlong. The other one stops the car and gets out, but the man is missing. It's dark around him. He can't see anything. He's screaming. He's looking around with the headlights of the car, but the man is missing. He calls Erzurum again. The man says, "They took him away, but there is not long left for the call to prayer. Maybe he will be saved." After half an hour, the time for Adhan comes. The man is waiting in the car. At that moment, when it gets brighter, he calls his friend by shouting. He moves away from the car quite a bit. Then the employee calls out to this from somewhere. It runs and finds it immediately. He has a piece of bone in his hand, with shapes on it like writing. The guy doesn't remember anything but has regained consciousness. They call Erzurum again. The man says, "Bring it to me." They set out again. On the way, the man is normal, but he doesn't remember anything. He just says, "I kept seeing the house." The end. The children, they are looking for his house. There is no problem. When they reach Erzurum, they explain the situation to the man. When the man sees the bone, he panics and makes them search their house so that they can run away from the house immediately. But when they search the house is on fire. People are screaming and screaming that the child is inside. This guy is going crazy. Of course he wants to leave. They won't let him go. If we can't solve it, there will be more. His child's name and his wife's name were written on the bone. Since his wife was out of the house at the time, the child remained inside. Then the news comes that they have taken the child out, but he is badly burned. and they are taking him to the hospital. The man says you go to your child. He says to the other one, you will go and bury the amulets. You have little time. Solve this problem before nightfall. The one whose child was burned says to the other one, I will come too. He is afraid and goes with this to get rid of himself. They arrive in Ağrı. They will bury the amulets in the specified places, but the places they go are either caves, ruins, or somewhere on the top of the mountain, and everywhere they go the staff gets out of control. He says unintelligible words, talks to someone, and cries. After burying it goes back to normal. In this way, they bury all 7 amulets, drink the water given by the man, and return. The burned child is in a bad condition, but is getting better. The house is completely on fire. The 2 cows and the hayloft inside are reduced to ashes. If they cultivated amulets, none of them would exist. When the man gave the amulets, he explained the reason. There was an inscription inside these amulets asking for some kind of help. From whom do they ask for help? They contact 7 tribes in 7 places. They ask all of them for help to protect themselves. If the 7 tribes agree, they can only remove the effect of the haunting, and the demon will leave them alone. But if one of the amulets is removed, lost, or something, then the protection is removed. Even if 100 years have passed, it will haunt you again. When the shepherds do all of this, they get out of trouble. One of the shepherds disappears. They cannot find his dead body. The gendarmerie investigates, but there is no result. The other shepherd's wife dies. The shepherd continues to live in the village. The 3rd shepherd's child returns from the dead, and when his house burns down, they move from the village to Van. Now, I heard about this incident at a family meeting held in the evening. While we were chatting about it, it's a treasure. My father-in-law said, don't get involved. Oh, blah, 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 blah. So I insisted on telling him about the incident. As you know, I turned on the audio recording and recorded what you said. Then I went to the village and asked the shepherd. He agreed to explain it with the reference of his father-in-law. When I met him, it seemed very normal that almost 15 years had passed since the incident. Actually, I wanted to see the place where they found the chest, but I was harshly rejected by my father-in-law and others. They made the shepherd swear an oath and suppressed the Quran so that he would not reveal its location. He wasn't a volunteer at all anyway.